Hello, everyone. I am Melissa Forziat of Take the Doughnut, here to help you get inspiration and get donuts. I'm a motivational keynote speaker, but today I'm bringing you another Take the Doughnut interview with the one and only Anjl Rodee. Anjl is the owner of BrushCapades, which offers paint, drawing, and watercolor classes. She's also a certified master artist, an improv comedian, a musician, basically anything that you can think of that's creative. Anjl probably does it. So Anjl, welcome.
Hello. Hi.
Welcome to your Take the Doughnut interview.
I am so excited. I've never done a donut interview.
So excited to have you here. So before we get into the real theme of today, I might as well ask the obligatory question is, do you have a favorite donut? What is it?
I do. I am a classic girl. So your basic classic raised with chocolate frosting.
Nice.
So good.
Hard for me to guess. Feels like a good answer. Well, I just gave a short version of your bio, which is basically everything. Mm-hmm. So what do you want us to know? Tell us more about you.
Gosh, I think what really sums it up is what I'd really like to have on my tombstone, if there will be one, would be this phrase, "That looked like fun." And not in the, "oh, that's what killed her" way, but in that's pretty much what my resume looks like along my life. I'm like, "oh, that looks like fun. Golf caddy? Yeah, that looks like fun. Running music for a dance competition? Ooh, that looks like fun. I've done that too." Just
that feels like a nice way to make decisions about what you're doing every day.
Just, yeah, every day is fun. Then what, yeah, it's true.
And knowing you, I do feel like you've evolved so much over the time that I've known you, and it feels like that guiding light has offered you a lot of different opportunities and a lot of different sort of places to go in your day-to-day. If I think about what your day-to-day probably looked like when I first met you, it's got to be very different than what it is now. And I feel like 10 years from now, it'll be even more changed than it was.
Probably. And I think it's because I have a very short memory. So I'm not really sure what happened yesterday. So I'm never really stuck in the mud anywhere because every day is just a new day. And this is the thing. I've got puppy/squirrel mentality, and it just works for me. I think the thing that has really helped my career just really zoom upwards, besides it just being fun, is somewhere along the line, I heard the phrase ikigai. Have you heard of that? That the intersection of what you love to do, what you're good at, what you can make money at, and what benefits people. And when I keep all of those things in mind, if I'm not only just having fun, but also helping people at the same time, like all of these things are working together to just make my life amazing anyway, and it's all about me.
But I do think I like that the philosophy is at the core, not the specifics of what you're doing, because there's a lot of things that can meet those objectives.
Yes.
And so it lets you have a fluidity that I think a lot of people don't have, because it's more about the specifics of a to-do list and less about the philosophy they're chasing.
Absolutely true. And it is okay if tomorrow the thing that gives you joy to do is different than what gives you joy today. I think that is fine and awesome. It just keeps the world fresh for you. Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, let's get into the meat of it, because this is a Take the Doughnut interview, and that can be considered literal, but also it comes from, it's an expression for me that basically means carpe diem. And it comes from this weird thing that happened to me in college where I left a donut on a table, and it became an object lesson for me in what it looks like to literally leave an opportunity on the table. And so it was a strange thing, but it got me thinking about the symbol of it all. So Take the Doughnut is all about saying, go after it, like take that next opportunity that comes your way. And that's the conversation I want to have with you today. It sounds like you're doing a lot of that, but for you, how are you with going after goals? What's that process like for you?
Well, what is the process of going after goals? It's a lot of whiteboard, mainly because I just love a good whiteboard. I don't know if it's for any other purpose other than, well, maybe I'm not a super linear thinker, right? So having a whiteboard and being able to check things off on a good list just gives me such a great feeling of accomplishment and goals having been met, even if it's just do the dishes and, make sure the cat litter is clean, even if it's just that. There are other more important things on there, I assure you, but having the checklist on there is such an important thing to me. And also when I lose sight, if I lose sight of what my goal is, I sit down and I think, what do I want my life to look like? And then I pick a time frame, 5 days from now. What do I want to have accomplished in the next week? What do I want to have? Where do I want to be a year from now? Where do I want to be 5 years from now? And then back up a little bit from that date. So if that's where I want to be in 5 years, what spot am I in 4 years? What spot am I in 3 years? And because I'm not linear, doing things like that helps me with my goal setting. Did that answer the question?
It does. And actually, I was also going to ask what keeps you motivated when you get started. Is that what does it for you? So if you feel like your interest is starting to flag or your focus is starting to wane, do you do that? Here's where I want to be 5 years out projection, and you can talk to future Anjl.
Yes, absolutely what I do. Another thing that I do, I just lost it.
Future Anjl knows. She's 5 years in the future. She remembers what was going to be said just now.
She's so smart. Another thing that I do, if I start to feel like I'm starting to dig a little rut and I'm kind of doing this, going through motions, I figure out a way to get out of the rut just a little bit. And that's how I started teaching things other than painting. I used to be just, here's how to paint a thing, here's how to paint. And I started building little ruts. And so I added something to it. I added how to draw caricatures of people, and coming up with a new little process for this new little thing took me outside of my ruts just a little bit. And I learned new lessons from that little thing I've been doing that I can reapply to the original thing that I did. And then I added watercolor. What if I taught people how to do this other thing? Oh, that's lovely. And what if what I'm really teaching people is not how to paint a thing, but how important it is to be creative, because we are creative beings at our core. And if we're not doing that, it affects our anxiety and depression and sleeplessness. Then I'm all excited about, I'm doing this. I'm kind of still doing the same thing, but I've got different approaches to the things. That keeps me excited. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's, and so the wider mission keeps you focused and motivated as well.
Yes.
Well, do you ever find that you have challenges with taking the donut? You're en route to a goal. What are the typical challenges or obstacles that come up for you specifically?
Every once in a while I experience a lack of control in a situation, like things are going swimmingly, and then all of a sudden one of my revenue streams turns and wants to keep going with me, but in a different way. I'm not in control of that, and I never thought of myself as a control freak, but I guess I am in a little way, because, that happened. That affects me a little bit. So now what can I do different? What can I do? I keep as much in my control as I can, I hope not in a control freak kind of way, but there's so much that is inside our control that we just don't realize is in our control. It's just so easy to say, well, that person no longer does this for me, so that affects me. Well, it's not his job to make sure that you are happy. It is your job to make sure that you are happy. And the more I keep that in my mind, the less outside things get me down.
Okay. All right. I'm really curious about this question of, if you look back at your life,
yes,
and we can answer this from a personal or a professional perspective, what would you say is the biggest donut you've ever taken? And I know you've taken a lot of big swings in your life. I know there have been a lot of big things. So, I don't even know what's going to come out of your mouth right now, but
we're going super deep and personal on this one because it's always the first thing that comes to my mind. It is the biggest step I've ever taken. It is the biggest donut I've ever taken. It is the worst thing that's ever happened to me. It is the best thing that has ever happened to me. I followed a relationship across the country, and 5 weeks later, found out he had someone else, and I had 2 weeks to find somewhere else to live. And we had just started this business together. So in one fell swoop, I lost my income, my home. I'm 2,000 miles away from my support system. And that on paper is the worst thing that has ever happened to me. As a kid that grew up with abandonment issues, well, that just happened. That just happened. But I didn't die, which is what you fear when you fear the worst thing that could ever happen to you. And after a little bit of self-pity time, I found little things to be grateful for. And that became a little drug for me. And the more grateful I became for little things, the less I was staring at the bad thing that had happened to me. And I was kind of, I'm a graphic artist, and I worked in advertising and freelance art and stuff my whole life. I no longer had clients around me. I had to start fresh. And so I just started my own business. And that's something, again, that I am in control of. And the more I felt the control of my whole life, because I basically given him all the control and he left with it. And the braver I became, and the more I forgave him, the happier I became. That's how I took control of my own life. I took control of my own emotions. And I've just kept that bulletproof feeling ever since then. Anything that you think is scary to you is not going to kill you unless that thing is bungee jumping without the bungee. That aside, nothing you fear is going to kill you, and it will do nothing but make you better, either because you've now done this thing and you're in a better place, or you've learned the lesson from that thing. You're like, but you no longer fear it. Been there, done that, and now, look for new things. The bravery I got from having everything taken from me and building up anyway, I'm a bulletproof human, and that is the best and worst. I am grateful to that guy, and if I knew where he was, I would send him fruit baskets weekly. Gratitude on who I am and where I am and what I do, and more than all of that, my mentality about all of it.
I think dealing with that situation somehow got baked into your entire personality, because I think sometimes when we think about what goal do I have, or what opportunity, what donut do I want to take, we think about something that we want from where we are right now, and we start making a map to go to it. But there are times in your life, and in this situation, everything kind of burned to the ground.
Yes.
It happened.
Yes.
It wasn't something that you could lay out a map initially before
Yes.
everything burned to the ground, where you knew that was part of the process. It was just like, well, this happened. And so to see that you overcame it by taking steps,
yes,
led to this resourcefulness that you have. And
yes,
I think led to the fact that now this version of you has a level of flexibility and fluidity and adaptability in your
yes,
career and your personal life,
yes,
that allows you to maneuver whatever situation you're in. And
yes.
that resourcefulness sounds like a byproduct of just coming out of a really tough situation.
Yeah. Yep. That was my big bang. That was my big bang. Everything blew up, but it was the creation of everything. Yeah, exactly. And so when I started my business, I know a lot of people who are like, I wish I could do what you did. I wish I could just start a thing. I mean, you just can, because any new anything is like a newborn baby that sleeps most of the time and is awake a tiny little bit, and you feed it a little bit and then it goes back to sleep, and it's tiny and manageable. And as that baby grows up, you learn how to parent with it, and any new thing that you start is like that. It's a baby, and you have all of it, and as it needs more things, you learn the thing that it needs. And I didn't, start in a place of hugeness. I started with this sweet baby that I loved so much. And yeah.
Wow. Well, okay, so that's the big one. What are you working on now? Is there something you have in mind, a donut you want to take moving into the future?
I'm obsessing about writing, which is funny for a visual artist. Well, I guess it's not funny for a visual artist, but this is what I'm obsessing about doing: writing a book about art, about making art. It's going to be a thing. I'll figure it out. But this is it.
Is it going to be like a tutorial, or is it going to be your experiences of making art, you think?
Yes. It's going to be all of the things, because it's also my story. People are like, it's easy for you. Doing that stuff is easy for you, so you're not scared of doing it. But actually, when I was 13 years old, someone who was an older, should have been inspiring person in my young artistic life laughed at my efforts, and I did not actually start painting until after I had a grandbaby. I draw and I do design and things, but I had a real mental issue with just real creativity, things that don't have, Photoshop has undo and delete and layers. So safe. That's not really art. I guess it is. I shouldn't say that. I'll make some people angry. But for me, the manual doing of the thing to this day is still scary for me to do. And I hesitate and spend time with self-doubt and stuff. And I know that all of that lives here. And I am 100% in control of this. There isn't anybody behind me saying things to me. It lives in here. And so learning to overcome this is just the biggest part of opening up to your creativity and your creative self. And creative is just making something that wasn't there before. It might be donuts. It might be knitting it, cooking it, not just painting and writing and whatever, but just a super, super important thing that we all should be doing, not just people who are doing it for a living. I heard this great definition of the word amateur the other day. It's a word that we use to beat ourselves up when we're not good at a thing. But a professional is somebody who does a thing for pay. An amateur who does it for the pure joy or love of the thing. We should all be amateurs. It's so many things.
Yeah.
And yeah, don't you agree?
Probably almost everything you do, you should be an amateur at, really. Absolutely. When it comes down to it. Yeah.
Yes.
I think, but I do think that in order to do that, we have to be okay with not being perfect at something, like not
Yes.
being the top of something. And
yes.
I think for some people that's a challenge. Like, oh, can I try this thing and be new? Someone who's just trying it on.
Absolutely. But isn't the best part? I mean, if you can do it and you already can do it, okay, great, I mastered that, next. But if it's something that you can see your progress with, or, it's a journey. Arting is a journey, just like life is a journey. We're not rushing to the end part. I hope not anyway. It's the journey, and art is the same way. Learning how to play tennis, the same thing. Learning how to be a good cook, the same thing. Yeah, you're right. It's it's really hard to let go of the, am I good at something or not good at it? But am I good at the doing? Am I good at the learning? Am I good at the figuring it out? Because if you can learn, I've just learned how to figure a thing out. Oh, that's a lesson you can take in every other bit of your life.
Yeah. Well, you might be answering this the whole time, but let's do this sprinkle some encouragement section. If there are people who are listening there's a donut they want to take. They can see it, they know what it is, but what do they do next? What is your advice or encouragement for the people who are in that situation?
if you do it for the right reasons, and the right reason is either to help somebody else or to learn something, not just take the thing and go ahead and be vulnerable. And if you don't know how to do a thing, ask somebody. No one is going to think bad of you. They're going to feel so honored that you asked, right? Vulnerable is it really is our superpower. It really is. Somebody that can open up or say, I don't know how to do this thing, I need help. You're giving somebody the opportunity to be your hero, your mentor, your whatever. That is the gift you're giving them, and they're helping you take your donut. Yeah, that is for me. That is a really big one. And realize you're being good at a thing is not the top. Not do the brave thing, and the brave thing is to do the trying, the experimenting, and it's not even really trying or experimenting if it's something you really love. For instance, non-art related, I love vacuuming. I'd be an amazing house cleaner. I love to vacuuming anyway. I love to vacuum. Love the patterns. Love the feeling of satisfaction it gives me. I don't know why my brain just went to vacuuming.
And this is the advice for all of you. It's the creative brain of it all. That's what we love.
Oh, man.
We're getting it all real and uncut right here. That's it. Well, I mean, where can we find you? You're doing a lot of really cool things now, and I will be able to put links into this video, but what link should I put in, Anjl? Where should we find you?
I know so many BrushCapades. Find me at BrushCapades. I do corporate events, team building events. So I do a lot of that kind of work with companies all over the world, but I've also just started up with public classes again, and they are all virtual, so it doesn't matter where you are. I would love to teach you that you already are an artist. We're all artists. I would love to give you this opportunity to play again, and what a great place to practice a little self-kindness and joy. So do that. BrushCapades.com is that one. And if you can find me on all the socials. My name is spelled so wonky, but it makes me so highly Googleable. It's Anjl, Anjl Rodee, Rodee. Find me.
Okay. Those are some places to get started, and you can just go down the rabbit hole of all the cool stuff that you've got out there in the world. So everybody, make sure you check out those resources. And if you liked hearing Anjl's story, be sure to like and subscribe on this video, because there's so many great stories coming up of other people who are taking the donut or who have advice about how to do it. So Anjl, I mean, first of all, thank you for chatting with us in your Take the Doughnut interview, but also for sharing so much. You know, you really put it out there, and I think a lot of people can probably relate to at least part of your story, but until you tell it, they don't know.
Right.
So thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah, I'm so happy to. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, okay, everybody, you know what to do. Get inspiration, get donuts. Goodbye.